Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a non-bingo Iraq. What's the best way of sorting it out? I think Kawar for 34. Not seeing anything better. Well, a lot of O's, so probably not a bingo here. But the H goes well with O's, so I should be able to sort this rack out fairly easily. I have who above Kawar. What about anything through the K? Well, not that reaches the double word square. And the W, I have how, but I'd like to play off two of the O's. Now, quite an unusual game today in that I'm playing in the morning. I almost always play in the afternoon or evening, but I have a flight to catch in a couple of hours to Sweden for the Swedish National Scrabble Championships, which I'm really looking forward to. So there's just time to record this before I head out to the airport. So what else can I do with this rack? Anything better than playing HOO? The rack leave of EGOT is not great, but it's not terrible either. Through a T I would have ghetto, but a rack leave of OO would be pretty awful. I have oo above and below Kawa, so it's possible that that might remain available if the right hand spot is blocked. Wow, opponent's struggling with U's, that's good. He hasn't provided anything great. So, wow, do I extend this with a T? Certainly not. I think the T is worth more than 1 point on my rack to balance out the vowels and consonants. UH is good. No, I'm not seeing anything better than this. Well, I draw duplicate G, duplicate O, so not a bingo and no scoring tiles with this rack. However, I do currently have a lead, and a play of goog or go-go would leave AET, which, although vowel heavy, is quite a nice three-letter set. Who takes a number of post hooks, but fortunately any play in column 10 doesn't get doubled or tripled. Double lane in row K, not massively useful unless you've got a Q. So not many hotspots on this board. G can go between H and U. But if I play off only one G, I'd quite like to play off both O's, and I'm not seeing a way of doing that. G and O can go in front of U. So I do have goog and go-go in column K, both of which take an S. But that still might be worth doing. It sorts the rack out, and I've not seen anywhere else for goog. If I had an L, I would have kagotla, which is quite a nice word. Now, the only floating consonants are K and D. I'm just considering bingos. I do have the AGE ending. I would have good as a component part of a word, but I'm not seeing a bingo, and the K isn't a useful bingo floater. Great, only 12 points for opponent, and he plays off bingo-y tiles, so he could just be playing off duplicates and keeping a good rack. What he has done is provided a safer spot for goog and go-go. I think this is best because it forces any S play into column 14, which opens access to column 15. Wow, I kept a vowel-heavy rack leave, fearful of having a vowel-heavy rack, but in fact I draw 4 consonants. And they look pretty good. I'm not seeing a 7. Nice play by opponent. So a few floaters to consider. I would have remittal through an I, and that doesn't have an anagram, so that doesn't play. How about the E? And I'm considering the vowels first because I think they're more likely to provide a bingo. So this rack plus an E. No, not seeing anything. I would have maltster through an S. How about a C? No, U. Wow, no. And the A of cow just about available. No. D, no good. K, no good. What about the consonants in evince? Nothing with the V. How about the N? No. And the C, no. So I don't think I have a bingo here. So how to sort the rack out? I could wreck it with clatter. 22 points, that's not huge. I think a play across the top of go-go is going to score more and have a better rack leave. So malt for 24 takes a Y, but the rack leave of ERT is best. Is there a non-bingo double-double through the U? No? Okay, I have a feeling I'm missing a bingo here, but I haven't seen it. Wow, look at this. I have a Y for multi. That's fortunate. And I have trafe in that spot, which is going to be a big score if it plays. Opponent's wrecked his rack with evens, so he has a random selection of tiles, which of course may be very good. So supposing trafe is blocked, I have tufty in row K. That sorts the rack out nicely. Wow, I am short on vowels. And tufty is good because it preserves the E. Hay is good. Tufty, although it sorts the rack out, isn't a huge score, low 20s, whereas trafe is going to be 40 plus. Fretty is good. Does that play anywhere? Voodoo only takes an S. Gain takes an F and a V. No, nothing is coming to mind. Fretty would play in row F if THA was good, but it's not. Wow, nice bingo for opponent. But look at this, I'm able to come back with a pretty handy score of 59. And I draw a solitary vowel. Okay, well, 7 random tiles, not massively surprising. No E for bevy, that's a shame. I still lead by 20 points despite opponent's bingo. So how to sort the rack out? Well, Viney would sort it out, were that to play anywhere. Not seeing anywhere immediately. I do want to play off V, N and Y if I can. I could play that through the I of events for a very low score. I have the same tiles, navy through the A of isobear. Isobear takes an S. Maybe I should burn my S if I can score enough. Well, stivy would be nice, but not quite enough squares. And my priority is burning the 3 tiles mentioned. Obviously, one would always keep those tiles if there was a sufficiently high score available, which entails doing so, but I don't think that is the case here I certainly haven't spotted a high-scoring play. Still both blanks to come. So what do I have through this B? Not very much. Not seeing anything which uses V or Y. What about a play through the R? And I'm thinking about getting V or Y tripled. No, not seeing anything. Navy's quite nice in that it obstructs this triple word square access from the B. Well, eliminates it. Nothing, no two-letter plays end in V. Opponent taking a while with this move and others. He's now used 4 minutes more than me. Normally, I use up more of my time. I think partly because I'm speaking. But maybe he's wrestling with some tricky racks. Now, floating E, always useful for bingos, but not giving me one with this rack. However, it does give me veiny, which is another option for sorting my rack out. Great, only 24 points. I think although I lead by 1 point, and let me think about saying this because I may completely disagree. Should I be taking out this E? I don't think so. I think there are enough bingo lanes elsewhere that if I take out the E, I risk opponent bingoing and then shutting the board down. Whereas if I leave it open, if opponent bingos, then there will still be bingo lanes available for me. So Navy for 24, no, Navy for 14. I was going to say that's a big score. Yeah, I am going with this. Finally, a balanced rack. I have new stick, which plays in row F. This rack plus a T. Well, I don't think the obvious word plays, or is good. So, do I have an alternative to new stick which will open a triple in column 1? And does new stick have an anagram? Don't think it does. So, what about this E that I've been preserving? Not seeing anything. How about the C? Duplicates? No. N is also a duplicate. In fact, all of these floaters are duplicates. Now, opponent bingos, burns a blank, only 68 points, which is good. And my new stick spot remains available. Now, what about the K? There's CK synergy, so what about column 4? No, not seeing anything. Any other lanes to consider? I'm not sure a play through the R would be better, although it would because it would be doubled. This rack looks like it does make something with an R. Kerniest, perhaps. Well, that doesn't play. I'm playing new stick for 71. And I'm back to the solitary vowel. And a lot of big tiles. The bottom right will probably be useful. I have herb there. But I think that's the hottest spot on the board. No vowel for going underneath the J, which is also a hot spot. So my lead, just 17 points, and I've got a poor rack for score. Row K might be useful, and my idea of useful is anywhere where there's a vowel on the board. I don't have to play the X straight away. I'm considering this rack as one with 4 high-scoring tiles, B, H, P and X. I'd like to play off as many of those as possible, but at the moment... opponent's played, taking out my spot for herb. So I have herb in column 11. Where else can I play? I could play hob. What goes in front of IO? Just the B. Bup, not good. B, not good. So nothing there. What a shame. Opponents played bottom right, and he may also, or will, have first access to the N of new stick. So, wow, this is tricky. Tricky. Do I have anything through the U? 13 minutes on my clock. Do I have anything at all through the N? I don't think I do. My H can go in front of the M, but not for a big score. Are there any huge X spots on the board? No. So let me come back to the E of isobear. What do I have through the A? I was going to say prehab, but no, the A's in the wrong spot and there aren't enough squares, so that's pretty hopeless. All of my high-scoring consonants, apart from the X, go in front of the E. So what about BRAP for 24? Yeah, I think, well, I wasn't seeing anything better and I'd spent a while. This rack looks a lot more tractable. But I'm not seeing a bingo. I have Rexis on the rack as a 6, which would play in column 4. I trail by 3. That's quite a volatile play. 20 tiles left, including the Q and the Z, as non-bingo-y tiles, but scoring tiles. However, look at this, no U's to come. So the Q, probably a bad tile to draw, or a worse tile to draw than normal. I can't see anything through the N. I would have Zenon with an O. X is, okay, dildo for 16. My Rexis spot is improved by that because it's less volatile. I'm just wondering if I considered this U on my previous move, because cha takes a P. Well, it would only have been a 2-letter play. Anyway, the D doesn't assist. I don't think any of these tiles assist. But I do have Rexis for 34 points, which is quite handy. Is there any... what about playing just EX here? 45 points and a decent rack lead. This is much better than Rexis. Madness that I didn't spot it, and this is exactly why I don't play in the mornings. That would have been a big oversight. But is this the best I can do? What about a play in row A? Not seeing one, I'm going with this. Wow, dreadful pickup. Any vowel would have been good. But let me count the remaining vowels. 9 out of 20. Balance bag. Wow, that was unexpected. 68-point bingo for opponent. Takes a 36-point lead. Very good chance he's drawn the blank. He drew 7 out of 13 tiles, so he is more likely than not to have the blank. But the game isn't over yet. Gosh, this wretched N of new stick has been no use to me at all. I have had N's on my rack ever since it's been played. And ever since Jow's been played, I don't think I've had a vowel to go under the J. So, that's my whinge over. What to do with this rack? Do I need a bingo to win? Possibly. Are there any bingo lanes? I don't think there are. Well, there's the one ending T. I think my priority is scoring. Well, let me come back to this cha spot. Now I would like to play, and I have an I for going under the K in case that helps. So my R or P can go underneath the U, so I could play URP for 21, but the duplicate N is just shocking. Chan is not good. N is good. Sorry, AN is good. But I'm just not seeing any play at all in row I which uses an N, and retaining an N, or retaining two N's, is terrible. "9 minutes on my clock." What about playing gin? 20. Wow, keeping 5 consonants. Seriously? That's awful. Nothing to go in front of I-O. I just feel keeping 2 N's is almost guaranteed to lose. Now, do I have anything through the N of new stick? Something like in pin? No, I don't. I do want to leave row A alone. Floating I of Jow. No N's to come, but N doesn't go well with this T. 8 minutes on my clock. So what about playing nip? I am retaining the H for score. Only 9 points, which is truly awful, but I have not seen anything better. Piney, creating a new bingo lane in row O. But that would just be burning the I. Yeah, I don't want to be in a hurry to empty the bag. And I don't want to increase chances of drawing the Q, so I think I will go with nip. What a shame I don't make chap and up. 7 minutes on my clock. Well, there's no way of playing the N if I do that. I am going with nip. Now, quite a good pickup. I have nearish as a 7. But do I have anything onto this T? Well, opponent's blocked that, fair enough. Do I have anything beginning with ED? I don't. Anything through this N? It could begin one before it, so it could be an in word. No. What about the D? 3 tiles in the bag. Hansier. Blocked by navy. The J, no bingo. I trail by 60. I probably need a bingo. Still a blank to come. What about the U? No. Nice play by opponent playing the Q. What about row N? That is a lane, but I don't think nearish has an anagram. And it would be a pretty spectacular overlap. 3 tiles left, just wondering about playing HA. Keeping a good 5-letter set. And hoping maybe this D comes to my rescue. Just wondering about column 15 in case Brap takes an S, but that would need to be a 9-letter play. Very unlikely. Half for 28. Keeps open this N. Gosh, I was close to enshrine. Wow, in order to fish for that, I would have to play off just the A and hope that I draw an I or a blank. Okay, I'm not convinced that that's better than HA. 4 minutes on my clock. Have I really exhausted the bingo lanes? Let me put this back. What about SK? No. Really, after the Pebrine experience, I'm just really want to be careful about not overlooking a lane. I think I will go with HA. It creates a new lane in row O. Yeah, an opponent's got to be worried about that. I'm going with this. Wow. I draw the blank and the Z. Opponent now can put his W under JA and kill that lane. But I think a bingo still wins. So anything with this rack plus a D. This rack plus a D. Not seen anything so far. Still nothing. That looks promising. Ironizes through an I. Still nothing. Suzerain through an A. No. Okay, so I'm not seeing a D bingo. What about an N bingo? A bingo beginning IN? Doesn't look likely. What a shame about that QI. That would have been a useful lane to have open, although I'm not seeing one immediately. Suzerain doesn't work. Azurines is its anagram. That also doesn't work. I'm not looking at row O. I'm absolutely convinced opponent's going to block that. It would be madness not to. I'm just wondering if I played off one tile, if I'd have drawn the blank or the Z. Do I have anything in column 8 which gets the Z doubled? So ELZ, ILZ. No, not seeing anything. Wow. What about a play beginning with Z? Well, I don't think that's going to be a winning play. But I do have Zainab, so that's my back pocket bingo if I don't find anything better. 48 points. 395. Yeah, I think opponent plays AW or AWE. What if the W's in the bag? Interesting. It could be. It could be. Opponent hasn't played that quickly in row O, but maybe he's checking out my bingo prospects elsewhere. He hasn't got the blank, and that must spook him a little bit. So I considered Azurines and Suzerain, but that was with the blank as an A. The blank can be anything, so this rack plus a U. And it can't begin UN, so this is pretty unlikely, but opponent's clock is ticking. I might as well use the time. This rack plus a U. Unitizers as a 9. No, not seeing anything. Now, what about a play beginning ED? I would have the ing ending. No, and there aren't many words beginning ED, so that wasn't very likely. SK? No. Just recounting around events. Not seeing anything. I'm not convinced Brap takes an S in any event. It may not do. So I've already considered the D. 4 minutes on opponent's clock. Are there really no further lanes to consider? Or any massive Z spots? Let me just put the E down here. I think that's okay. Opponent does have the W. I think that's game over. 4 minutes on my clock. So I'll get 12 on count back. 3:57. I need 66 to draw, which I will achieve if there's a play down here. I'm just mentally thinking about a first tile, given the time. Nothing. Nothing. I think this is the only way I can win this game. Nothing. I was going to say lulls, but I don't have the L for that now. Likewise with lols. No. Okay, so I have Zainab's, which is a losing play. 3 minutes on my clock. Nothing begins Ute. Anything better than Zainab's? Just checking row D in case there was a 7-letter lane, but it's only available with the D. What about a play beat which begins next to the D? So it could begin IN. Not seeing anything there. Okay, I think this is a lost game, and I am throwing in the towel. Zainab's for 48. And I didn't check what opponent might do now. I really was focusing my energies on finding a winning play, and I couldn't find one. So if opponent doesn't go out, what can I do with RS? I have Res in column 15. I have Sir in column 7. I have Sir in row I. That's probably the best. Wow, what a close finish. Drawing the Z and the blank, how tantalising when I was contemplating playing off just one tile. But I think the odds were massively stacked against me at the end there. I would have needed a very particular draw to win this game. An opponent definitely doing the right things by playing Chi and Ute. And he's down to his last 3 minutes, so quite a long game. Not ideal when you're heading off for the airport, but I think there's enough time. R's and Utes is good, but I don't think that outscores Sir. Just wondering about URS. I probably should learn my 3s. I think it's ums, which is good rather than ers. What about column 8 if the Z wasn't on there? I think that would have only scored about 13 points, so not as much as Zainab's. Okay. So Sir for 16. And the final score, 415 for me, 441 for my opponent, a winning margin of 26 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. What an intriguing game. Just wondering if there are any massive howlers. So, me to go first, Cow, that looks fine. Opponent's rack, plays Voodoo. G7, Who, that was my play. And now opponent's rack. And does he bingo? No, he doesn't. Wow. So this was his rack. He was sorting out duplicates with N and E, but he was overlooking bingos through this D. Now, my rack. And I play Go-Go for 17. I could have got 26, H5. Oh, wow, for a Gouge. Running down the side of Voodoo, that would have been a better play. Opponent's rack. Plays Events. Wow, missed bingo. Tremolant, A13 through O and N. And it's a word that is in my 9-letter card book, so definitely a miss. That would have been fun. Tremolant. Okay, well, I missed that. What do? I play Molt for 24, which I think is fine as an alternative. Or as a second best, but it is definitely second best. Now, opponent's rack, he doesn't miss his bingo, plays Isobear. And I have Trafe for 59 to retake the lead. Opponent plays Zhao. And this is where I burnt the V and the Y and the N to balance the rack. For 14 points, sacrificing 24 points. So G12, tie-ins and isobears keeping NV. Instead, I played Navy, keeping Sint. So how does Sint compare to NV? Is there a difference of 24 points? Well, NV is going to be negative, maybe -5. And Sint is going to be positive, maybe plus 15, I would say. It goes very well with pretty much any vowel. So there could be a 20-point difference, and there's only a 24 difference in score, so actually Navy is fine. Opponent's rack plays Nematode, which was a nice spot. And now New Stick is the only bingo. So, still pretty close. Opponent's rack plays Firm. And this was a rack I struggled with. Wow, B13. Flocks through LO. That would have been nice, playing off 3 of my high-scoring tiles, which is what I was looking to do. Chaperon. That's also nice. So I play Brap for 24. Yeah, and I think some of these moves at the top definitely better. Opponent plays Dildo, and I have this rack and play X for 45, which I think is best. Now, great bingo for opponent, Siltia, which establishes a 36-point lead with 6 tiles in the bag. My rack, and I play Nip for 9, but I5. Wow. Hups for 34, I think, yeah. Duplicate N is annoying, but 34 points with the scores at this stage is good, so I think Hups would have been a better play. Opponent plays Chi, and now I have a great rack, but I couldn't see a bingo. I thought that was one for a moment. 1F. Wow, nearish. Not a bingo, but 42 points. Interesting. What do? I play H8 for 28. HA for 28, creating a new bingo lane. I think this probably only works if the W's in the bag. So opponent plays Ute, and finally no bingo. And I play Zainab's for 48, and all of these moves are pretty much the same thing. So there was no winning end play, no out for opponent, and finally SUR was best. So what a tantalising game, really close throughout. Then opponent sticks his nose in front with Siltia. I feel there are chances to come back. There are a few lanes on the board, but my rack was never quite close enough to have a bingo which went in any of those spots. So I ended up losing by a small margin, which is the way things go. So many congratulations to my opponent on his victory. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you when I come back from Sweden.